Okay. Shu is tackling another men's issue. Let's listen and see what she has to say. I will correct her any mistakes she makes.
And thank you, the viewer, as always, for not skipping the ad.
Why are men and boys struggling? And what should we do about it?
A few new studies have come out that have shown that young men are more lonely and single than ever before. But it's not just men. The women and children, too.
No, 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 not. This is the first mistake, everyone. Women are not lonely. See these women here? This is who they like to hang with, Shu. And you're a woman and you know better. Women are not lonely. They're the ones who deselecting men. They hang around with one another. They're not lonely. And it's not affecting children either.
It's predicted 45% of women will be single and childless by 2030. But
that doesn't make them lonely, though, does it? That does not make them lonely. They're single by choice, and they prefer it that way.
According to the media, this is a good thing. The she-economy is booming, as they say. And meanwhile, men being single is treated like this.
New study explains why some single men are having a hard time finding a new partner.
Some of the music that they listen to speaks very derogatory.
Right. Yeah, men, stop listening to that derogatory music. Then maybe you won't be single. I don't know, I think men and women being single and lonely kind of shows there might be—
Women aren't lonely. If women are single, it's by choice.
Something wrong with society. Perhaps we should—
Look, it really pisses me off when there's this false equivalency. This is a men's issue, and they always try to shoe in women as if it's equal. It's to push away any blame to women. Sure, you're a woman, you know better.
Should address this, not just wave it off as empowering or pathetic. According to several different articles, I love how that's my source, I read about it on the internet, research shows that people from individualist countries show a greater sense of loneliness. This is linked to socioeconomic development, increased education, a shift towards white-collar jobs, and urbanization. Japan also has an issue with loneliness. In fact, they have a whole movement of people they call the hikikomori.
Yeah, and they're mainly men. That's right. Exactly. Because women prefer each other's company, and they are not kicked out of social circles. So, shoe on head, if you decide to crash a party where no one knows you, no one's going to beat you up and throw you out the door. Okay?
Did I say that right? I don't care. Basically, postmodern hermits. Mostly young men who completely withdraw from society, secluding themselves in their rooms for months and years at a time. In 2010, there was an estimated 700,000 hikikomori in Japan. And today, it's estimated to be about 1.55 million. And because of things like this, people aren't having babies, so Japan's population has been in a sharp decline since 2011.
So what? So what? For one thing, they're overpopulated. The world's overpopulated. If something goes wrong with our economy or infrastructure, people are going to be in Soylent Green. This is a good thing. But again, you're bringing up baby making, which is neither here nor there. It's neither here nor there to this men's issue.
It's gotten so bad that Japan even produces videos of live-action women staring into the camera to help the hikikomori learn to cope with eye contact and—
This is bullshit. So they're blaming these young men for what? For women rejecting them, as usual. They're putting it on them. These women aren't interested in these guys, otherwise they would have picked them up. So what? This woman's going to stare at these guys, stare at a camera, and these guys are going to go out in real life and get disgusting looks from women like they did every other time. That's why they're in there in the first place.
Reintegrate them back into society. So basically, if you want to know America's future, look no further than Japan. A lot of people—
This is, again, bullshit. They're being pushed out of society by society. It's not their choice whether they get integrated or not.
including myself, blame this partially on the rise of social media and technology. RIP to the king. Although technology makes things easier, it can also make us more atomized. Why go to the mall when I can just tap, buy a new...
This is nonsense. Because there's dating apps there. And men are deselected there. They run to the dating apps and they get discarded. The women aren't interested. This doesn't have anything to do with technology.
Microphone.
If anything, technology is just showing what people actually want. Men want to be with women and women don't want to be with men. Again, Chu, you're a woman. You know this.
And have it shipped to me in a day. Why hang out with friends when I can get all my social interaction I need from Twitter and streamers? Why go on dates and bother meeting women when I could just tap, Google big boob and get 2 million results?
This is bullshit. Men would get together with real life women if women wanted them. That's a fact. They only take these boobs on the apps if that's the only thing they can get. So this is the first time I watched this video. I bragged it up just from skimming through it. Now I see there's some real issues with it.
See my high school crush's holes on OnlyFans for only $5. Instant dopamine, instant satisfaction, and hey, who even needs a real woman when you could just have an AI girlfriend? We're f***ed. We're so f***ed. Dating apps really...
If that's what guys really wanted, why would they be hikikomori, right? I mean, that doesn't mean they wouldn't leave their apartments. If guys were getting what they wanted from these, apps and that, you'd still see them outside being happy-go-lucky, right? Getting some fresh air. Sorry, this is bullshit.
Really are the great Satan, and I'm convinced they've completely broken men's brains. Women on dating apps are picky. Women in general are picky, and I mean, naturally we are pickier.
Thank you for admitting it. So why did you give that bullshit spiel before? This is the reason here, and the only reason.
We're the ones who carry the babies, at least.
No. This has nothing to do with babies again. This has nothing to do with babies. You just admitted that women are having fewer babies. So they're not interested. So why are you making biological excuses? Women don't like men. Do you understand that? You do understand it because you're a woman. I feel sorry for your male subs.
And I mean, naturally we are pickier. We're the ones who carry the babies, at least for now. But on dating apps, you have to admit, it's a little insane. It's safe to say that the commodification of love and the window shopping...
It's not the commodification of love. Women have always engaged with prostitution with men at all levels. The average girlfriend and wife is a prostitute. The average guy who gave her an engagement ring, that's a form of prostitution. He's bribing her into his life. Right.
Dating apps probably has to do a lot with the rise of lonely single men. Men are not just lonely when it comes to dating, they're lonely when it comes to friendship too. According to Vox...
Yeah, men don't like other men. That's the other thing. People don't like men. Both genders prefer women. We already know this from an old study way back then, gender bias, right? Both men and women, see women in a positive way and men in a negative way. We already understand this. Okay, what's the next one? Did the left fail men? Well, no more than the right. Both halves are anti-male by nature, so it doesn't matter.
And recently, a new study came out about how young men are moving towards the right. And every other month, we, the liberal, sockdem, leftist, whatever you want to call the space online...
You're a feminist, yeah, that's right. The left is entirely engulfed by feminists, right? And that's why. You're hostile openly to men, right? The right-wingers keep it on the down low to some degree. They're also hostile to men, right? But at least they pretend to put a face or veneer that they like men. That's why men are leaving the left and going to the right.
Forms the same song and dance. What's wrong with men? Why is this happening? Why don't we have a leftist Andrew Tate? We need to push men to the left. Andrew Tate rarely, if ever, talks about politics. Andrew Tate talks about men, and the left only talks about men when they talk about Andrew Tate. A few months ago, during one of the monthly song and dances, some progressive people I follow made the mistake of addressing men's issues, and the even bigger mistake of pointing their finger at their own spaces for not doing enough.
Here, let me see. Oh, they always mention the alt-right, right? Alt-right MRA movements, right? I guess I got to admit to this guy, Sid, that the MRA doesn't gatekeep, and so they do get these alt-right assholes in there, right? But it's not just the alt-right. The MRA is a joke, period. Because the left gives brain dead advice to young men. Not just, hey, dude, not Sid. It's not brain dead. It's vicious. It's hostile advice, right?
To address said men's issues.
Recently, there were some statistics by healthcare company Cigna indicating that men are the loneliest generation. And addressing it doesn't mean that you turn your back on issues pertaining to women, but it does mean that we should be focused on what it is in society that
you have to turn your back on women because women aren't facing any issues. Anyone who says that is hostile to men. Everything that's been going on here is the fault of women. That's a fact.
is leading to this epidemic, what the left can do to offer solutions, and how we can basically fight back against the more nefarious figures who have filled the void that, you know, men are struggling with. People like Jordan Peterson.
By the way, those guys are anti-man. Jordan Peterson hates men. Andrew Tate definitely hates men. You know, so yeah, we get it. But she's not wants to defeat him for that reason. She hates men even more, right? She just wants the guys being abused on her side instead of their side.
And what have you. Now, recently, Vosh, who's a popular streamer, had
another man hater.
Tweeted this thread that I think is really, really important to address. He writes, I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that 12-year-old white boys on Twitch are not being pulled into fascism because of some Machiavellian desire to preserve and expand their privileges. It's because
you see how he's voicing it? Men don't have any privileges. They never had any privileges, right? Period. The fact that this scumbag Vosh is getting known the way he is, it's just disgusting.
Me when I lie. LMAO, cry about it. Boo f***ing who? Oh no, poor widow men having problems. Boo f***ing who? Grow the f*** up then. Have men considered being smarter? I'm enjoying all these sad little moids and their sad
moids, okay, that's said by a woman, right? Shoo, that's being said by a woman, even though you're blocking the names. I don't block the names. I show people who said what, right? So this is, again, women being hostile to men, right? Do you understand that? Oh, there's a woman there. There you go. 90% of all homicides reported worldwide have been committed by male perpetrators. I doubt it. She doesn't know what she's talking about, but there you go. Spreading harsh, harmful, false rhetoric. The rhetoric is false, right? And this is done by some young lady who's being treated like gold by any man she meets in real life, right? So you women are to blame.
Well, this is them now. Should've just let me cook back then. Listen up, chuckle. I'm white, socially awkward, autistic, in my 40s, ugly, overweight, crippled, got a weird balding pattern, and have bad skin. You know what I didn't do?
Yeah, exactly. So this guy's giving it, he's not going to receive any kind of sympathy because people don't like men. Okay, let's see. Get past this.
Let's be honest. Aside from procreation purposes, men have become obsolete.
Okay, yeah, I don't need to go any further than that. Okay. That's next. Yep, pull yourself up by your boots. We hear that all the time.
It's all systemic issues and societal factors and blah 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 until it's a man and then suddenly it's pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. This problem is just a consequence of the patriarchy. Now take a wild guess about which gender created the patriarchy. Solve your own problems and leave women alone. These people rightly mock the bootstraps rhetoric until the subject is a man, and then it's bootstraps all the way down. They would never talk.
Okay, lady, do you believe in the patriarchy? Shoo, unless you say the patriarchy doesn't exist, which it doesn't, then you're part of the problem, okay?
About any other group this way. It's wild. And it's kind of like both sides are telling men to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but one is like, I'll show you how, and the other is like, fuck off. And when they're not telling men to straight up fuck off, they're giving the 200 IQ answer that nobody has ever heard before. Just show your emotions, bro. And I'm not dismissing this problem, okay? I've made videos talking about this. Oh, you're crying at your grandfather's funeral? Okay, faggot. And studies have shown that men are scared to be vulnerable, even around the homies. And can you blame them when the media says stupid like this? Fellas, is it woke to open up to your fellow men and discuss history? Men are socialized to believe strength, dominance, and stoicism are behaviors of a real man. Is it any—
Yeah, but shoot, they're socialized by women, by their mothers, right? So this brings it right back to you girls over and over again. Okay, what else? We're going to take your stuff. Okay, let's hear this.
to move left when the left appears actively hostile to them?
The
It
question
doesn't appear, they are actively hostile to men.
of whether or not the hashtag online left does enough to appeal to hashtag men has become the question du jour. And like, men have most of the money, authority, and do most of the murdering and assaulting.
The average young man—
Okay, there you go. So he looks gay. I'm not saying he is, but he looks gay. Is he part of the LGBT? Right, the feminist LGBT. They don't like men. A lot of gay men, they don't like other men, and they choose straight men to be the punching bags, right? Okay. Is there anything else we need to— misandry is real? Well, duh.
the culture war and real war. Anyway, misandry
The
is
culture war is just a war on men. It's that simple.
real. Oh good, finally! And while it doesn't systemically affect cis men, it most certainly affects trans men. Oh. Y'all talking about misandry doesn't harm men, and trans men are right there reading this shit, by the way. I see, now we only care about misandry because it affects trans men. Everyone stop!
In other words, it's affecting women. Women who find out what it is to be a man. Okay. I've spoken enough on this. Oh yeah, you showed this asshole. That's right. This guy who by the way, this guy still wants to bash on men. He just wants it laid off for him specifically. I wish nothing but the worst for this guy. Anything else? What we got here?
All their fault. They don't want to be told they're part of the problem because first of all, they're not. The average 20-year-old didn't build society. They go to work, come home, off to sissy hypno fetish porn, and go to bed like everyone else. I've talked about
Yeah, but it's not just this generation. That's the way it's been for all men throughout all history.
this before, but a lot of men's value comes from the money they make, unfortunately. Men are natural providers, and if they have nobody to provide for, they get into—
No, we're not natural providers. We're not naturals. We're forced into that role. If men win the lottery, what do? They quit their jobs, they stop providing. Well, they probably still need to bribe women. That's what provision means. Servitude and bribing a woman. That's what it means. There's nothing natural about this, really. Because if women gave themselves freely to men and wanted to be with men, men wouldn't need to provide, and they wouldn't bother.
Findom or send random girls on the internet money. I'm just kidding, but the fact is, a lot of men simply feel like they don't have a purpose anymore. Whether a job or a career that's fulfilling and pays well, or a woman or family to protect and take care of and provide for.
So serve women, right? So, Shu, how are you on men's side? If you're bragging about their servitude, right?
Are lacking purpose, and a man will crawl through broken glass for a purpose. But you know who does make them feel like they have a purpose?
Well, the purpose is to get the girl. So again, Shu, if women just gave themselves to men and wanted to be with men, then men wouldn't worry about having a purpose. They'd be happy, right?
Purpose. No, not him.
I say that life as a man is exceptionally difficult. I say the most beautiful and the most terrifying thing about being a man is you're born without value. Society doesn't care about you.
The absolute audacity to act shocked that Andrew Tate is scooping these guys up after a decade of lol male tears is insane. Andrew Tate isn't the solution to men's problems.
I agree, because he's just a grifter. And he will rip off men in a heartbeat. He's a scam artist, right?
But he is talking to them. The fact is, you did not care about them for years. And even now you just want
You're
to...
wrong, Shu. People care very much about men. They care very much about abusing men. It's not just indifference. There's actual hostility involved.
recruit them, not help them. And that's why you will fail. And hey, maybe I'll be the Andrew Tate of the left. Men!
I agree that. Because the way you've been talking, you've been derailing the situation. You've been avoiding the fact that women are the source of men's problems. So you really aren't really much better than Andrew Tate.
Listen up. Wash your penis. So I guess I'll leave you guys with a question. Why do you think male loneliness has been increasing? What
Well,
are
you
your...
already know, you're a woman. So you know that you're not particularly interested in men. And so that's the source of it. You know, women treat men like shit, and they use men and abuse men for fun. That's the answer, and you know it. So again, that's how we'll end it. Your question has been answered, Shu. Thanks.